Okay, last season, we cheated, basically. Not really, but I feel like we did. And this season, let's do it all over again! Hello, and it was Cosmic Gallade. And you might recognize this from last season of MLP. But we are back, better than ever, and hopefully going in for a legitimate season this time. Not that little cheatsy stuff we did last season, still feel bad about it. And last time we had some power, and this time, we have even more power. Well, I shouldn't say power. More like speed! Behold the Deoxys speed. Proud Regieleki, the fastest mod in existence, the greatest hazard control mod ever conceived, amazing coverage, decent offenses and defenses. This is an amazing first pick and mod to build a team around. Granted, its stats are just low enough to not be able to sweep things, but that's only fair. When you have 180 speed, you can run 252 HP and special attack and still outspeed the entire team. Unless like 130s are involved. This thing is a monster. It can casually outrun some slower Scarfers, and even if not, I can just max speed it to outspeed the fast Scarfers. Not only that, its coverage is nothing to laugh at. Whether it's firing off a spec Psycho Boost as a nuke, or just having some nice coverage, or playing the perfect hazard control mod, Cell is here to destroy things. It is an amazing mod to build our team around. For our next pick, last season I mentioned we won a previous season of MLP, and here's why. Mega Metacham. If you've even played one game with this thing, you know why it's good. Nothing lives 2 hits. If you can take 1 hit, sure, but chances are something had to die to make sure you could get in. This thing has no realistic switch-ins. They exist, as we'll see week 1, but they are few and far between. And the few mods that can stand up to it are usually countered by our later picks. Not only that, if I wanted to go extra overkill, set up with bulk up, but really, you know what this thing does. It comes in, claims a kill, and gets out of there, before repeating the whole thing again 2 turns later. This thing is a monster. We have a pretty bad ghost weakness, but we will cover that later. Next up, let's fix our little bulk problem. Like, Deoxys speed has 90 in the defenses, but that just won't cut it. So we need the Ferrothorn. Oh man, do I hate this thing with a passion. But not because I hate it, it just refuses to die. Even if you have a fire type, like its weakness to fire is easily covered, as we'll see later on. Overall, this thing also has some more hazard control, setting up the rocks. And say I want to, like, if I ever want to run Deoxys offensive, which spoilers, I do want to this season. I have plans for Deoxys speed. This thing can easily pick up the slack when it comes to hazard control, as well as walling capabilities. It's also its fighting weakness, completely mitigated by our double psychics. I know I said they're not that bulky, but even they can take a good focus punch to the head. And even then, if they want a physical attack focus punch to Ferrothorn, it's gonna take Iron Barb's damage in the process. So it will deter physical attackers just by existing. Overall, super excited to make my opponents suffer with this thing, and I am glad I'm on the side of evil. Now, remember how I said we have a ghost weakness? Yeah, this isn't gonna be helping us at all. Let's talk about what Stormy can do, though. Didnt speed to at 115. Nice, pretty good offenses, decent... decent coverage. Reflect type if you want to be cheese. And yeah, this may not help our ghost weakness at all, but what it does provide is some hazard removal in case Deoxys speed is unable to taunt the hazard setters or just has a mental herb, which full disclosure, I expect to see that this season. Like, Starmie was the king. Like, Starmie was an OU staple for many years, and it is no secret as to why, and we are going to show it off this season, even if it has fallen from grace. For our next mon, well, Mega Metacham can punch holes in teams, but we have no dedicated win condition. Ladies and gentlemen, Dragonite, your win condition. Whether it's going to be mixed wall breakers, maybe it's the sweeper, maybe it's just a security measure with E-speed priority and 134 attack. Or it can take any one hit with multi-scale. This thing is a beast, and you will know it is a beast by the time you deal with it. It's going to take something like Clefable, which we have in PMC, to deal with this thing. But overall, this thing is a monstrous force, and I'm excited to use this thing. Mon 6. Moltres. Outside of Starmie, and to an extent Deoxys, we have no real special attacking presence, and we need a fire type. Moltres is monstrous. True, the quad weakness to rock sucks, but we have Starmie for hazard removal, and we have... I'm sorry. And also heavy duty boots. Like, heavy duty boots took this thing from an RU powerhouse that is hard to use to an OU staple. For good reason. I am super excited to use this thing, whether it be as a special nuke, or heck, you can take a physical hit, because no physical mon wants to get burned. It's a kiss of death for them. This thing is going to break holes in teams that Mega Metacham won't be able to break otherwise on insanely physical mons, like, say, the occasional Tangrowth or something. Anyway, for our next pick, we have our Steel, and we have our Dragon. We need our Fairy. And honestly, I'm gonna live with you here. I am not good at using Fairy types for the utility, but maybe we can fix that with Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl, it has prankster shenanigans, and it has Fairy typing. I assume that's what Fairy types do. Not gonna lie, I am terrible at playing defensively. I have before, but it's just I am terrible at it. Fortunately, this thing doesn't need to only be utility. It has bulk up Spirit Break. It can do taunt shenanigans. Maybe substitute to sweep. Don't underestimate Grimmsnarl. I know it was a backup pick. I can't remember what it was though. So let's move on to our next pick. Another quad weak to Firemon after Ferrothorn. Basically, Ferrothorn's replacement, Fortress. Kinda awkward, but let's be honest, this is rapid spin setup. It's body press, massive damage. And even more hazard utility with things like Toxic Spikes, which both Deoxys Speed and Ferrothorn lack. So this does have reason to be here. Also, it can fix some of our bulk issues. Anyway, our terrible ghost weakness. Grimmsnarl's good, but it can only do so much. Fortunately, name one ghost type that wants to take a Boom Burst from a scrappy Exploud. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't need to say anything else. It's scrappy. It's Boom Burst. I apologize. I don't need to say anything else. This thing is a monster. Like, if a special wall is weakened or just not there, this thing just sweeps or cleans. And you may notice that behind Webb's mark, well, it wouldn't be a Cosmic Gallade team without a Weber. And it wouldn't be an MLP season if I didn't bring Swadloon into this. None leads to turn Deoxys Speed into the biggest flex the league has, other than maybe Regieleki pulling off the same thing. But just, it turns things like Moltres, Mega Metacham, Exploud, it turns them into unswitchinable machines. It kills everything. It just, it goes away. It makes all your problems go away. Now, this thing has some one capabilities. Behind an Eviolite, this thing can take a lot of hits, especially with Synthesis and Infestation to wall things out. And, since it's pre-Gen 8, it has Toxic like everything else does. Never underestimate Swadloon. It is the Pharaoh of my team. Never underestimate the Pharaoh. Next up, well, we have no sort of... See, one thing I like to have on my teams besides Webs is a dedicated panic button. What I mean by that is, say your mon gets up to +6. I like having something that can deal with it. Stuff like Mimikyu, or Sigilith, or in this case, Murkrow. Murkrow was super cheap. Like, okay, this is a points draft. It was 1 point. Why this thing is 1 point, I'll never know. But this thing is hella cheap. Although it's trolling weather teams with having every weather move known to man, priority haze and taunts for trolling, or just being an overall panic button against sweep-heavy teams, because we don't have Ditto this season, so we're gonna need a new panic button. That is Murkrow. Also, it's decently offensive, potentially. With stuff like Brave Bird, Heat Wave, Nasty Plot, it can do some decent damage, or heck, even Sucker Punch. So, just because I call it a panic button, by no means should you underestimate Murkrow. Under specific conditions, it actually can sweep or clean up. Finally, for my last mod, if you'll go throughout the draft, you'll notice my special defense is sorely lacking. So I thought, what has the highest special defense in the game? Not really. I just like bringing in Regice to things. Granted, Ice typing, terrible. Terrible typing. Absolutely garbage. But still, based on your special defense, no bulky, no water type's gonna break through this thing. And, heck, say a good fighting type wants to switch into it, base 100 Ice Beam is not something you want to take head on. Unlike that thing. Also, heavy duty boots turn this thing into a much greater threat, since Rocks is virtually a non-issue, since the only other item it really needs is Assault Vest, which it can live without, and Leftovers, which it can also live without. But overall, Deoxys Speed, Mega Medicham, Ferrothorn, Starmie, Dragonite, Moltres, Grimmsnarl, Fortress, Exploud, Swadloon, Murkrow, and Reginald Ice. You know what? This may not be the perfect team, and our team from last season might be a bit better, but I don't care. I like this team. It is going to carry us. I am going to hop on Deoxys Speed's back, and it is going to carry me throughout this league. It's going to run past them. Nothing will touch me. But yeah, we will see you guys with Week 1. Later, suckers!